Okay, so welcome everybody to Wednesday Team B call, 9 o'clock. We do these pretty darn consistent for the last, gosh, it feels like definitely year. And we love to hear stories. Our team is all about stories from the heart and hearing the stories of our top leaders around the world, how they did it, how they got to the top position, and how they continue to grow. So Joan Ackerman is from Saskatchewan, and she's our special guest. Her background is a hairdresser. So I told you guys today that if you've got hairdressers, which I know everyone has a hairdresser, this would be an amazing call to share at any time. And I know we're recording this, so you can share it. But I love Joan. You can't miss her at conference. She's one of the happiest people that you will ever meet. Smile always on her face. And she wears the coolest color clothes ever. She reminds me of a rainbow child. Color from head to toe, or chakra. If you guys know what chakras are, Joan dresses like the chakra color, and her energy just vibrates high. And we talk all the time about, your vibe is what you attract. And Joan is just one of those gals that figured out her vibe very early on in this business and keeps on attracting amazing people to her team. She is married. I've met her husband. I've met her daughters. Her daughters are, I think they're both teenagers like mine now, aren't they, Joan?
Yeah, they sure are. Yeah.
And we just want to say thank you, Joan. We usually do about 20 minutes of product and business and some tips along the way. So I'm going to pass it along to you, and a big thank you for jumping on the call after just getting off the plane.
Thank you so much, Nicole. Nicole and I go way back to Q School. I met her, so she's an awesome sideline buddy, and her mom is such a sweetheart to her family. So so I feel very connected to you, Nicole. Thank you so much. So like Nicole said, I live in a teeny tiny town in Saskatchewan called Chamberlain, and it's a rural area where the population of my town is 80 people. That's it. So one thing I want to say, first of all, is honestly, if I can get to NMD, anybody can, trust me. So like Nicole said as well, I used to be a hairstylist of over 25 years, and I was actually diagnosed with asthma many years ago, and I used to get bronchitis all the time. And it made sense to me how I ended up with asthma, simply because of breathing in the chemicals, because I was always into health, like big time. I grew up on the farm. I was always kind of a health nut. That I ate very healthy, and I used to buy hundreds of dollars of vitamins and herbs to stay healthy. And so anyways, it made sense to me how I finally was diagnosed with asthma. But what didn't make sense to me was, at the time, my girls were yay high. They were 3 and 4, that they were diagnosed with asthma. And that, as a mother, broke my heart, because they could be fine during the day, but cough all night long with their asthma. And so again, I wasn't one of those moms who gave them junk. Yes, they had their treats, but not all the time. And I thought, this is crazy. So anyways, for a whole year, we used inhalers daily, and it really didn't even really seem to help, actually. And so anyways, it was about a year later, my massage therapist shared Juice Plus with me when I was on her massage table with really congested lungs, and I could hardly breathe. And guess what? When she shared it with me, I didn't think I needed it. But what attracted me to it was knowing that it was safe, that it was whole food, that it was fruits and vegetables for my kids to take. I was only going to put them on it. But Tanya, she looked at me in the eye and she's like, Joan, I care so much about you. You are in bad shape here. And I go, I know. And she said, you deserve Juice Plus, and I promise you, you're going to thank me down the road for taking it. So I thought, you know what? What's a few more dollars? Yes, of course I will try it. So I did. And it was so exciting because, and at the time, at that time, we didn't even have Vineyard in Canada yet. It was just the Orchard and Garden Blend, actually. So that's all we were taking. And it was exciting because month by month by month, I could physically feel my lungs getting stronger. And even my kids, after they were taking Juice Plus for even a month, they were sleeping through the night, but I didn't want to jump to conclusions because of it being such a short time. It wasn't until later on that I figured that out. But literally 10 to 12 months later, from using our inhalers daily to this day, we use them seasonally. So it's been an absolute blessing in our health. And I'm actually healthier in my 40s than I was in my 20s. So that has been a major blessing with the product. And then it was about a year and a half into taking Juice Plus. And then, you know what, it was the following year when I went with our company, really taking pride in education. When I went to my first prevention talk, I thought, you know what, if Juice Plus is this good, why am I taking all this other stuff? So first of all, I did an experiment, and I packed up all my other vitamins and herbs, put them in a box, put them in a cupboard, didn't tell anybody. And then it was shortly after that Vineyard came to Canada. So started taking Vineyard, and I'm telling you, it was even more exciting because we just got healthier and healthier. Then one day when I was on my massage therapist's table again, Tanya, somehow it came up that it was only $50 to share this business. And I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? I did not need another business. But because Juice Plus changed my health so much, I thought, it was almost a calling from above, literally, that it was like a passion as a mom. It was almost a responsibility that I wanted to share it with other mothers with kids with asthma in my salon. That's how it started. I was so busy with my salon. I was so busy with my kids. I did not need another job. But anyways, I got into it because of feeling a responsibility and thinking it's only $50. We don't have to carry, the product, all that. The company does everything for us. So when I first started out, I would be working 12 hours at the salon. I'd come home, I'd be on the phone all night. And my husband would be like, are you nuts? What are you doing? And I'm like, I'm sharing health with people. And I was on the phone, and I would let it go in one ear and out the other ear. And it was a real struggle, but it was seriously a calling from above, right? And I just needed to share this with other people. Because when I started, I actually fast tracked in half the time. It was within a month, and I just excelled. And at the time, there was only 2 other NMDs in Saskatchewan. And then I persevered, and because I believed in it so much, I just kept on going. And then, because it wasn't even until a year later that I realized, oh my gosh, my husband, he's 8 years older than I am. He started taking the product. And because it was like, oh my gosh, you need this too, because we're all getting older. Things are going to start happening. You're going to take it. So it was kind of cool because at first too, when my check was so little at the beginning, Clayton's like, that you're wasting your time. And again, I just persevered, went to conferences and all that. And then it was really exciting because, after a couple years into the business, my income stream got bigger. And then Clayton started paying attention when there was a comma in my check. And then my income stream allowed me to sell my salon and be home to raise my girls. And I've been home ever since. And so it's just been a major blessing because it was 10 times more important for me, for what I learned health-wise, to share it with people from the inside out rather than just the looks on the outside as a hairstylist. And so, I keep losing track of the years, but that was at least, 5, 6 years ago now. And I've never looked back. It's just been amazing. I made it to the top of the company, I think a year or 2 after Nicole. And then I made it to 24 Club. So I'm in between 24 Club and 39 Club now. So it's just been a wonderful journey. And, with the benefits that we get, oh my gosh, it's just been amazing for our family. The time freedom, we have done so much extra family travel that we never would have done otherwise. Ever since the girls are yay high, we've taken them to many conferences. And they've seen our culture and they just love it. And, so they've grown up with it. And so we've taken them on a lot of trips. And then it was kind of funny because even with Anaheim coming up here in April, when my girls found out that the conference was right beside Disneyland, they were and it's also Easter break. They're like, can we please come along? And it was a no-brainer. It was like an instant, yes, of course, so we've taken them before, but they can't remember Disneyland because they were yay high when one of the conferences was at Long Beach. So anyways, yeah. And then like I said, my husband and I just got back from Hawaii 2 days ago, and we celebrated our 19th wedding anniversary. Plus, I'm building team there. So, and then I've got, wonderful sideline buddies like Wendy Lowe. And so, yeah, so it's fantastic. So business and pleasure all in one. So, yeah, so it's just been a major blessing. And again, oh gosh, like, health is wealth. So it's been the best journey of my life. I always knew that this mission was bigger than all of us put together. And it's just being confirmed time and time again when I'm helping people with their health, and when everybody gets healthier, right? So it's just been, it's just the best journey. Words can't even describe it, So that's kind of my story.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. So, can you give people on our call tonight some tips of how to bring up that conversation with their hairdresser?
Oh, okay. Specifically with a hair designer, basically, if you're taking Juice Plus yourself, the thing is, like, I literally live my life with intention, because I see the same people all the time, literally, in our small town. I just share Juice Plus as I live my life, first of all. So one thing I want to say is that because I see the same people all the time, when I do go to the city, for instance, for appointments and things like that, I'll wear something with Juice Plus or whatever. I'll have that intention of literally sharing Juice Plus with, say, 3 people that day or whatever, right? And so, there's not a certain verbiage that I use, but it's like, I just have that intention of sharing whoever, like, wherever I'm at. So I still have my acorn keychain. If any of you have that, like Nicole, you probably have it, where you can put Juice Plus in it. And lots of times when I'm paying for stuff, for instance, like I'll dress up like with my Juice Plus stuff on all the time, like I say, or I'll wear my name badge, for instance. And when I pay for stuff, I'll literally put my keychain, for instance, on the counter, and people, it's such a attention grabber. Oh, what's Juice Plus? So things like that. Or as far as like a hair designer, like if you've taken Juice Plus for a long time, like maybe your hair designer is like seeing that your hair is growing better, or you're whatever, right? And you can just kind of, I don't know for sure, like specific verbiage, but definitely sharing from the heart, like maybe what you are doing. And the thing is, like, depending on the relationship that you have with your hairstylist, obviously, like, the thing is, one thing I will say is that, wow, my life was so changed when I went to my first boot camp. My first boot camp was in 2006 at Banff Beavertail. And I'll never forget it, because I remember feeling as a hairstylist that when I was there, the biggest thing that I found was, it was the happy, healthy, shiny people, where as a hairstylist, I took great pride in my profession, that I used to always go to all the hair shows, and I kept up on everything. And, the missing link for me at that time was that, it is a rough profession, hair designing, because you are, even though they've improved those chemicals and stuff, you're breathing in chemicals all the time. And so I remember feeling seriously that a room of hair designers, they're good looking, they're happy, they're easygoing, but the missing link is the health. Seriously, because almost like a nurse, like lots of hairdressers are on their feet from morning till night, right? And hardly grab anything in between. Like, I was there working 12 hours because I cared so much about people. So, in different ways, easily you could bring up, like, about having a shake. Like, why don't you give your hairstylist like a sample of a shake, for instance, like that kind of thing, because it's the health that's missing. It really is, because, a lot of hair designers do not look after themselves, and it's not because they care so much about doing your hair, honestly, that, they book themselves back to back. And so, so that's a huge thing right there, even if you give them a sample of that to get started, or, to share what you're doing or whatever. So, but as far as verbiage, like, I really share from the heart. Like, I really just sense, like, saying less is more. First of all, that's one thing that I've so learned. It's like saying little things at a time, without overwhelming somebody
Right.
is the way to go. And definitely not, don't take anything personally. Like,
Mm.
because it takes time to build that relationship, right? So that's with anybody. But again, getting back to living my life with intention. When I go to the city, like I say, like, even in the grocery store, that is a great way to start a conversation, say in the produce section or whatever, that, oh, that's so hard to get like good fruit now, or vegetables or whatever. So, it's always like, I just really pray about the right words that's going to come out of my mouth to serve whoever I need to that day, right? So as far as verbiage, I don't really, I just literally follow my heart and stuff, right? And so I hope that's a little helpful. Does that make sense, Nicole?
Yeah, that's great. I think what I'm getting in kind of your message is there's not one right verbiage to share. It just is in the moment. It's coming out from your heart. I like your idea of how you, like for any hairdresser that you're sitting there is, I love the idea of bring them a shake, bring them some chewy samples, bring them one of our bars, and
Yes.
like anything, probably find their pain. The pain you just said, pain is that they're not feeding themselves nutrition. They're probably starving. They're probably on a caffeine high. And imagine how they would feel if they got some nutrition in them. And
Yep.
again, like anything we've talked about, ask good questions. It's like, when's the last time you had something in your body that fueled, for good health? Have that conversation. So that's some great advice. Now, I know one of the big things I had when I first started 12 years ago when I met NMDs, I was like, oh my gosh, they're just like such rock stars, and, they've got this big team going on. Could you maybe share, because I know for me, when I first started, one of the questions was, where did they find their five? We say it takes five leaders on your team, five sales coordinators. And I always wanted to find out, who were their five? Were they like all their best friends? Were they strangers? Can you go over your five that got you to NMD, who they were and where did you find them?
Oh, sure. I'd love to. That's great. Thanks, Nicole. Yes, actually, my first rock star on my team is my sister. My sister Kim. It was kind of cool because, in a nutshell, my sister Kim, it took me forever to get her on Juice Plus, but it was kind of a funny story because my sister's a dental assistant, and she suffered from severe allergies. Like, it was kind of a coincidence after having a hepatitis shot where she all of a sudden had, severe anaphylactic reactions, like her throat closed in, and she ended up in the hospital a couple times and ended up with an EpiPen. And so she was really running herself ragged because she's a mom of four, and she was so busy. She lost a whole bunch of weight. She's a year older than I am. And at the time, she had just turned 40 and she was skin and bones. And I was seriously concerned about her health. Like, I had no intention of getting her on my team. All I cared about was her health, and so I kept sharing Juice Plus, and I never gave up on her. She kept saying no to me, but you know what? I just kept inviting her to Prevention Pluses. She finally said yes to me to get me off her back when Jack Medina came to speak. And it was really cool because as soon as she came and heard Jack Medina, she's like, oh my God, I need to get all my kids on this. We need this. And so it was a blessing that she started Juice Plus. And honestly, like, I had no intentions of her joining my team, except it was a no-brainer for her to become a family plan rep, because to help offset her costs with four kids. And so that's how it started. And then it was really funny and then my sister Kim says, I don't have time to do the business. I said, that's fine. And so anyway, so one thing led to another. The more she learned, she's like, oh my God, Joan, the more events she came to, people need to know about Juice Plus. And I'm like, yeah. So anyway, so that's that story with Kim. And so she's a QNMD now, and she's well on her way to NMD. So she's one of my rock stars. And then, guess what? And then my second rock star, his name is Wes. And he's a hairstylist, and he was always on my dream team, where he lives an hour and a half away from me, and he was always on my dream team. And I knew if he ever got it big, if he ever got it, he'd get it big. And again, all I was concerned about at the start was sharing it with for his health. And it took me a while to share it with him, definitely. And I think I definitely gave him some samples. I did. And that's how it started. I kept inviting him to events and all that. He took it probably for, I want to say, 3 years before he got into the business. And it's a funny story how he got into the business, because he's so busy. And it was funny because, and he's got 2 small kids, and actually his age is 57. He has 2 kids. Well, they're maybe 7 and 8, or no, 6 and about 8 now. So they're a little bit older, but he's just, his health is just, he's got so much energy to raise his kids. And anyways, he wanted his wife to come. He didn't come to conference first. He sent his wife to conference to see what it was all about. So she came with us to conference, and it's hilarious because afterwards she's like, from conference, she's like, Wes, you've got to do this. And so anyway, so then as soon as she got home, then he came into the business, and we've never looked back. And he's also now, he's almost at NMD as well. So Wes is my second rock star. My third rock star is another hairdresser, and Rianne. And I went to hair school with her. And so she literally, it took me years to get her on the product too. And she eventually retired because she couldn't hack it. Like her legs, she got varicose veins in her back. So she works at a credit union now, in Swift Current. And I always kept in touch with her. And it was probably only about, I want to say about 8 years ago that she got on Juice Plus, and then really liked the products with the Complete and the bars and all that. And her husband really came on board. And so, she's my third rock star. So another hair designer. And so that's Rianne. And then my fourth one is my cousin, who lives 20 minutes away. And she's a cousin in the family, a really good friend, more of a really good friend that she babysat. I went after her. She's a homeschooling mom, and she has 3 kids of her own, and her husband has 2 kids. So they have a blended family of 5 kids. And she's just a wonderful girl. I've always loved her. And I went after her to babysit my kids when I was in my busy salon when they were yay high. And she wasn't gonna, and I just kept bugging her to babysit my kids because I didn't just trust my kids with anybody. And it wasn't all the time that she babysat them, but she came on board. We became even better friends. I kept sharing Juice Plus with her, and eventually she really got it. And she got her whole family on it, and it's just been so exciting. So she's my third rock star, and she actually is almost at Q now. So she lives 20. Yeah. So she's 20 minutes away from me, and we do a lot together. It's because we're so close, and because she lives in a small town as well, where my kids go to school, and population is about 350 to 400 people. So she's my fourth rock star. And then my fifth rock star is my sister-in-law. And she actually is my husband's brother's wife. And it's kind of an exciting story with her. She's been up and down in the business, but she suffers from so many health conditions. I can't even name them all. Fibromyalgia, high blood pressure, diabetes, you name it. She's got everything in the book. She takes so many meds. She still takes a lot of meds. But the cool thing was, for many, many years, I shared Juice Plus with her. And I just, I took it personally at first until I realized, that, you know what, it's not about me. It's really not, but I cared so much about her. It bothered me. So finally, I let it go. Finally, I got smart enough, and I grew enough personally that I didn't take it personally. I figured out it wasn't about me. I totally was not going to bring it up again unless something else came up, because we went to visit them out in Calgary. And I promised myself I was not going to bring Juice Plus up again. And lo and behold, that very weekend when we were out there, Sharon calls me into her office. She's got a medical file like this, no joke. And she sits down and she opens it up and she goes, Joan, will Juice Plus be good for this? Joan, will Juice Plus be good for this? For this? And I'm like, yes, yes, yes. And she's like, I'm ready to take it. And so she started it then. And then it was 6 months later, and it helped her so much. And 6 months later, she came to conference.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of funny because our brother, like Clayton's brother, like my brother-in-law, he was like, oh, this is like, he kind of boo-hooed me. And I invited him to conference. I'm like, Bill, I says, you know what? I said, I'm just happy that Sharon's taken the product. And I says, all I want, if you want to come to conference, I would love for you to see the big picture. And he goes, what do you expect from me? And I go, nothing. I said, seriously, Bill? I said, you know that I care about both of your health. And I says, the only thing is I want you to come and see what Juice Plus is, because I don't want you to say to me after, Joan, why didn't you share this with me? You know? And so it was really cool, Nicole, because literally both of them came first of all, he wasn't going to come. He was just going to have her come. He decided to come and hang out with Clayton and I, because lots of times my husband comes to conference, and he came to hang out. And at the end of it, at the pool, he says to me, Joan, I want the product and I want to get into the business. So they do the business together. They've been up and down in the business. They're actually still only at sales coordinator, but that's okay, you know? And so anyways, they just kind of, you know, are in it for a little bit, but they're taking it, right? So it's like, so that's my fifth huge, you know, a bigger line, right? So, and then of course, but those are my five people.
That's great. I think it's so important for especially the new people when they're first starting. They're just like, I don't know where they're going to show up. And you know what? Every NMD has different fives, you know, like for you, you had 3 family members and 2 hairdressers, right?
Yeah.
And so I just say, don't give up. I'm sure that you had to, it's not just that they were your first 5 people. You had to talk to a lot of people to find those 5. And I heard through your story that you never gave up on them, and some took 3 years, some took 5 years to say yes. And it's a process. So it's like you just never know when the timing is right for people. So on that note, Joan, I want to say thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're going to have this recorded, and if you want, we'll send you the YouTube link so you can share it with your team.
Oh, thank you so much, Nicole. That's awesome.
I'm going to say goodbye, and then I'm just going to wrap up with our team here for the last 5 minutes, okay? You can go and unpack and enjoy. Thank you, my dear. Yeah. We'll see you at conference soon.
Yeah, thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, team, we've got a couple minutes. Is there any last-minute pressing questions that anybody has about the month ahead? I know we've got March break coming up here in Ontario. Happy International Women's Day. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Nikki's going to have this recorded. Actually, you can probably stop the recording, Nikki.